Today we're going to be going over our top 5 animals at the Tinley Park NARBC show of 2024 in October. And I say animals, but I also mean that I am excluding ball pythons. Last week we brought you our top 5 ball pythons, so they got their own video. So without any further ado, let's get right into number 5. Coming in at number 5 from Versatile Reptiles would be this absolutely gorgeous green tree monitor. Monitors are such incredibly intelligent creatures. You can see their mannerisms and just how it is acknowledging me in this video and how it's watching me. On top of that, the deep, nice colorations. It is a green tree monitor, but when we zoom in, you can see that it has these neon greens, these blacks, yellows, even some blues are coming in at play here, like an aqua type blue. What I really love about monitors, though, beyond just their coloring and their beauty, is their intelligence. They are incredibly intelligent creatures that have a very distinct personality. They're incredibly interesting to watch as they climb around and explore and try to find ways to escape very active lizards. If you want a lizard, a monitor is the perfect pick. Now, a green tree monitor might not be the perfect pick. You need to make sure you do your research. But there are monitors of all types and sizes that can probably suit most people. At number 4 from South Tex Gex would be this spiny-tailed iguana, otherwise known as the Tenosaura pecamada. I think that's how it was pronounced. But in general, what you're looking at here are albino spiny-tailed iguanas, and to me this is not just your normal albino either. Obviously we see these pale red eyes, but a blood red pupil. But the skin of these animals is not just a normal yellow, it's a very lemony pastel, and in person it looks translucent, like they're nearly see-through and that they exude some sort of light source themselves even. You can almost see a lime green in this video even near the head, at least on this one. It seems like this one has a slightly different look than the other. On top of that, you can kind of see how they've grown. This was one of them that has grown out quite a bit right here. I believe that this next one is its most recent picture. Just incredible how they would change that much as well as they grow. Something I commented on our last one though is just the interactivity of these animals when they see you, how they regard you. It's so interesting to see how a lizard behaves. They're very dinosaur-esque like behavior in terms of how we've been taught to perceive them. But the animal itself is just so extraordinary, and I don't think I've ever seen one quite this color. It's nothing so bright but so clean. It's more than just an albino, and if you look at the sides here of this one here, it's definitely giving off a green vibe, almost like a green iguana type is just kind of sneaking through, which really creates an awesome amount of contrast. You have this like very faded pastel type green just coming in. It's very exotic in terms of how this animal looks. Whenever you look at an exotic animal and you're used to them and you say, wow, that looks like an exotic animal, that's saying something, because it is like exotic squared, and then near the tail it's almost like it's so translucent. At least in my mind's eye, how I think about it is that that's blood, and that it's so translucent that you're able to see the blood through the skin. I know that's not what's actually happening, but in some of these shots it almost gives that sort of vibe off. Just a really beautiful animal, but make sure that before you go and get yourself any lizard or any pet, quite so frankly, that you do your research on it. Iguanas in some cases can be particularly difficult to keep, and understand that some of these animals will want their space as well. At number 3 from Kate Exotics would be the biggest hognose that I've ever seen in person. This thing is insane. It could rival ball pythons easily. What we are looking at here is an albino conda hognose female, I believe. I had to do a double take to see if it was fake at first. It's just so calm, relaxed, and enormous. So we're not even talking about this animal in a genetic fashion right now. The rarity factor comes in the fact that you just don't see that. Hognoses are traditionally a fairly small snake, even as an adult. And I can't get over this picture right here. It looks like it's judging me. Like, it's like, what? The souls of these animals can be seen through their eyes. They certainly are expressive. I don't care what anybody says. I can read this animal. It doesn't care so much about me, but it is keeping an eye. And I got pretty close to get this footage, obviously. It just let me, but it watched me. It's such an incredible specimen. There's many people who will never, ever see this. Something so rare and unique. An animal filled with such personality that didn't even need to move, really. Just a few tongue flicks, and was one of the stars of the show. There was a lot of attention around this animal, and deservedly so. Coming in at number 2 from Rufus Darden would be his entire spread of sand boas that he brought, which are just so amazing. This one here absolutely screamed Halloween to me. It is incredibly beautifully colored. The pattern on it is just so absolutely beautiful. And the one next to it, which is a Paradox Albino GX Paint, which I feel is very appropriately named. It definitely looks that way. One thing to think about when it says Paradox Albino, being a bull python breeder, I assumed this was a paradox, as in it had a unique look to it, that maybe those brown spots weren't supposed to be there. But I was wrong. This is a genetic that is in sand boas. It is called Paradox Albino. So very cool and very unique, because honestly, I looked at this and it kind of looked paradox, like with those types of things in there. It looked like it was trying to juggle between being a normal sand boa and an albino, which I guess that's where it got its name. Very cool animal. And I love these types of snakes. If you can't tell with the hog nose, I love goofy faced snakes. And this is also a very goofy faced snake. Look at that. Its eyes, its face, everything about it is not normal for a snake. Some of them don't even look real. They're so goofy. And I love it. I'm all there for it. The last one shown to us, again, just looks translucent. This was a mixture of a Paradox Albino and an albino. They can stack perfectly fine while adding to the animal, and it looks like it glows and that it gets translucent. This was probably my favorite one by a lot. The coloring, the white sides, but then you can kind of see here just like peaks of these little browns that almost look like you can see into the animal. They're very nice crisp oranges that are barbed wiring itself over the body of the animal as well. Sand boas are incredibly beautiful looking animals, and they're not incredibly difficult to keep as long as you do your research on them. Just know that this beauty here will often be buried underneath of its substrate, because that's how they hunt. They sit underneath their substrate and they come out. That's why everyone names them sarlacc. All of these animals are just so unbelievably incredibly beautiful. Sand boas don't get the attention they should. They're gorgeous. They have a lot of different patterning and variety amongst them. So if this sort of animal interests you, I can't recommend enough Rufus Darden reptiles. They are absolutely beautiful animals. Before we get to our number 1 pick, I wanted to go over a couple honorable mentions. For our first honorable mention from Crosstown Exotics would be this beautiful dinosaur, or I guess we can call it a black-throat monitor. Monitors are such incredible creatures, and Crosstown Exotics really knows how to take care of their animals and show them off here. They have much larger enclosures that they're obviously in. They're just here for display and educational purposes, but they still somehow seem to find a way to make it just look so cool and awesome. Monitors are such incredible creatures. They're so intelligent, and you can see the intelligence in their eyes, in their movements. It really gets you thinking of a dinosaur. But the head and everything like that just reminds you of the velociraptors from Jurassic Park. Our next honorable mention from the bug plug would be these leucistic crested geckos. Now, we've shown these often, in fact given them some of our highest ratings for some of the original top reptile videos that we've done. But as I said, I don't like bringing the same animals into our top lists multiple times, because I want to show a massive variety of what's out there, and there's so much to show, it's easy to do, but I still like to call them out from time to time. One of the original winners has grown up, and now you can see how she has aged. It is absolutely beautiful. You can still see through this animal. You can see its spine, you can see the insides of its eyeballs, and you can basically see its organs. It's one of the coolest crested geckos I've ever seen, and it deserves updates like this all the time because it is absolutely beautiful. There's actually another one that has been created that they believe might be a different line, called the Mac Leucistic. So they're going to eventually attempt to breed the two of them just to see if they are the same, and if they aren't, then they'd be two different lines of it altogether. But either way, it is incredible and absolutely beautiful. And at number 1 from Flood Reptiles would be these Boleens pythons. I don't think I saw anyone else with Boleens at this show, and if I did, they didn't stand out to me as much as these ones did. These animals are awesome. Right off the bat, you can see when the light hits the black parts of this animal, it has an iridescence. You see this rainbow type look to it. It is so nice, so beautiful, and the head is just so cool and unique. It almost looks like a jungle carpet python near the face, but then just kind of a short stubby type head. But once you get down into the pattern, it is incredible. It has the same reds that we love in our Pompeiis, but this is just the animal. It has a stark white belly. There's so much in terms of coloring going on here. Oranges, reds, blacks, yellows, and they're done so well and so clean, but at the same time, there's a bit of a granulation going on there. And you know, if you've watched my videos, how much I love that sort of effect in bull pythons, so I certainly love it in any other animal. And they have a bit of variety amongst them. There's some that are more dark than others, some of them are red, some of them just seem more black, and this one here almost has like a purple type look to it. But they're all super cool and super unique, and I believe just incredibly rare. Now, I don't know a massive amount about Bouleyn's pythons care or anything like that, but I did not see a single other one of these at the show that I remember anyways. This one here I think has to be my favorite because it has a little bit of everything. It has the iridescent head, has a little bit of these purples that fade into a darker, deeper red, which then near the back end of the tail just becomes this nice orange. Meanwhile, every single bit has these perfect rings, these stripes that go through them of this nice neon yellow. The way they move around so deliberately and intelligently, it's an absolutely incredible specimen, and each one of these is so stunning and beautiful, and it's why we picked them for our #1 top reptile at the Tinley Park NARBC show of October 2024. Hope you enjoyed the video. There are so many cool animals at this show that we could have probably made a list that would have had me going for a very long time, but I can almost guarantee you that we caught a lot of these animals in our full walkthrough and our uncut, which you can check out both here and here.